last replay of the day, the Tier 6 Fuso, which is a tech tree battleship. A lot of fun. I actually just retweeted an image of the Fuso being launched in the 1920s, which is kind of cool. So let's talk about her. She's got 6 356 millimeter dual turrets, so 12 total barrels in a 3 front and 3 pointing rear fashion. But the middlemost turrets are behind the superstructures, behind the primary and secondary structure of the ship. So it's kind of a weird, wonky setup. I call this ship the Japanese shotgun because she plays more like American battleships where the aim is all over the freaking place than the Fuso that preceded it and then Nagato that follows it. So if you played the Congo and you were really good with your accuracy at hitting things at medium to long range, you will hate the Fuso. If you're really bad at accuracy with the Congo and hitting a damn thing at all, like me, you will love the Fuso, okay? I love this ship. I do not love the original Fuso with the A hull that you had 13 kilometer range and 26 kilometer concealment. Yes, that was a thing. But now she's fantastic. Either way, you are spotted from so far away and you can't fire back at anything. It was just ridiculous. Now, she no longer has that problem. My favorite thing about the Fuso was that I actually ranked out a full season of the Fuso, full season of ranked in the Fuso. This is way, way, way back when ranked wasn't the sprints they are now, where you got 2 weeks to try to make something happen. No, you've got like 2 months to slog it out and try to rank out. And I love Fuso because Fuso, in that environment, I just went around and I spammed HE and burned all things down. Loved it. She's also relatively maneuverable, and she's very narrow hull, which allows her to dodge torpedoes like on a knife edge. I mean, she's just... Ships that are close by that show broadside, or cruisers at long range that show broadside, can be absolutely spanked by Fuso AP as well. So there's a lot going for her. Now, during the break and before we got to this, we were talking about the spotting aircraft and the merits of the spotting aircraft. I want to highlight this for a sec because a lot of Japanese battleship players do not understand what this does for battleships. So spotting aircraft, everybody looks at the maximum range and says, oh, cool, I get 20% better range. No! Especially on Congo. Oh! Or Easy, whatever it is, Tier 4. I remember, whatever. Anyway. Miyogi.
I can't believe I remember that.
I mean, I remember when I was an closed alpha tester and Miyogi was called something else at Tier 4. But anyway, the thing about this is it allows you to see and shoot over islands, especially ships that are not spotted. That's item 1. And item 2, because it extends your main battery range, your dispersion at every range underneath your standard range before you use the spotting aircraft is improved. Because what it does is it says, okay, we're going to take your maximum dispersion, which is, where is it? And this is vertical, mainly your vertical dispersion has improved here. So you've got 192 meters dispersion at maximum range. Now we're going to put that out 20% farther. We're going to set that at 192.81, and then everything within then improves. So your standard range that you'd be shooting at is improved. So if you're shooting at something at medium range to long range, your normal standard, you can still put your spotter plane up, and what that does is essentially makes your shots that much tighter. So if you're good with your accuracy, that helps, and that's the big gimmick of the Japanese battle cruiser line, the bungo line. You have to get in the habit of putting your plane up whenever you want to shoot something. So Chaser, there's your answer there.
Even without the spotter, the bungo is still relatively accurate. You may already.
Yeah, it's accuracy. It's accuracy through volume.
Yeah, well, the other advantage that Fuso has is its armor is surprisingly trolly. If you take a look at its armor scheme, you'll notice that it has a 35mm deck and upper belt, along with a 120mm upper belt as well. That means the only place you can reliably be damaged by HE rounds is your superstructure, which
it's pretty big.
Unfortunately double-edged because it is a big superstructure for a, especially for tier 6. It's called the Pagoda for a reason. The leaning tower of Fuso, as I call it.
Well, and the reason why it's got the pagoda is because historically speaking, prior to World War II, radar wasn't a thing. Optical range finding was a thing. So the taller you can make your superstructure, the sooner you can find an enemy. And the sooner you can find an enemy, the sooner you can start shooting at them. So it gives you an advantage. The Japanese were also really good historically at night fighting. And again, the pagoda mast helps with making observations of range. You can have your spotlights higher up, all that kind of stuff. So that's the reason why the Japanese battleships have those pagoda masts. Americans, by the time Americans really built out their ships in World War II, seaborne radar started coming into play to the point where American ships started replacing optical rangefinders with gunnery radar as well. And of course, in the most famous fight between the Hiei and I believe it's the Washington, we see the impact of radar
Yeah,
range
or
finding and gunnery.
Washington was able to sneak up on the Hiei and blast it in the side at basically
Or-
point blank range without it ever being seen.
I'm sorry, it wasn't Hiei, it was the Kirishima.
Hiroshima, yeah, Hiroshima.
Yeah. I caught it. I was trying to say it before anybody said it in chat, but I had to wait for for Shockwave to finish that part. But yes, exactly. She did kind of sneak up on her. So, anyways, in game, in Warships, Fuso is a fantastic kiting battleship because she also gets a little extra bonus plate on the rear side of her armor plating. If you took a look at the armor scheme, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So she's a ship that can be played both kiting in and bow in. You just, as somebody said earlier, you have to be careful not to unmask all of its guns. That's the big part of the problem. That's the big part of the problem. So let's take a look at the build then that Tanis is using. And he's choosing to forego the third slot, which is wild. So main battery, main armaments mod 1, fire and flood reduction. There's really nothing you can take here at tier 6 that matters. And then
Why is it wild?
It's wild because
Why is it
you're literally giving up one of the most important upgrades for you. Oh yeah, naval history. I'm a huge naval history nerd too, Chase. So you could probably tell that. So at the third point slot, you're either giving up aiming systems to make your shells even more accurate, or you're giving up main battery mod 2 so you can turn your guns quicker. Now, this is huge.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm at the Nagato now, but
Yeah, but it still, if you go back to 6, it still matters. And in this replay, it matters.
No, this begs a question for me, actually. Are you strapped for credits? Like, are you out of credits or something?
I don't remember how exactly because I used to have like 100 million and now I have like 5 million or 6 million.
Yeah, so you went too
Did you
far
use
up the tech
Blender?
tree, and then you died quickly, and then blah. So, yeah, take your time. You don't need to rush up the tech tree. I know you've got Yamato. Every time you fire your guns, your wallet hurts in Yamato. So, take your time.
I've played like 5 games in the Yamato.
Play a lot of. I think what is it, Pommard or what do you have? No, you have the tier 8 German
Turbines.
battleship.
There's purpose.
Brandenburg.
One? There's like
He's got
I
the
the bits in Brandenburg for
Yeah,
tier 8. And
so-
then I
so
have the
you
Scharnhorst
spam
43
those.
and stuff.
You spam the premiums to get your credits. So,
Yep.
anyways, dispersion is the most important. I think you mean module 3 slot. But yeah, you want to go dispersion unless you're bad with battleship to where you're constantly changing sides. If you're constantly changing sides, then main battery mod 2 so you can get your turrets turned quicker is far more important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Japanese battleships have really, really slow turrets.
Yes.
That's one of the problems. Also,
Yes.
the Kobayashi camos do not. I'm not sure if this is still
Not
a thing,
anymore.
but I'm not sure if the Kobayashi camos actually translated their bonuses to the ships that used to have them. So Yamato does not have the Kobayashi bonus, nor does the Roma. So it's only really that they basically have the same credit making ability as the regular cheering premiums.
I believe you're actually a little wrong there. If you had the original Kobayashi ammo, then you got a buff on the premium on the permanent package, the permanent bonus package.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure they have buffed credit earnings on that bonus package compared to standard. So
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't actually know that. That's actually good to know.
yeah,
So if I get
Let's-
the Kobayashi, it's before the change. Okay, so not after. So if I get the Kobayashi camo out of it, just
Correct.
travels container.
It doesn't
I'm
help-
not
it
actually
doesn't matter
going to
now.
Get the bonus.
correct,
That's unfortunate.
correct. Okay, so getting back to the replay, you have damage control system mod 2, which is fine for Fuso if you find yourself dying all the time from fires and floods. Otherwise, there are a couple of other choices for you. More experienced battleship players will probably go for propulsion module. Rudder shift time is okay at 15. So you might think of propulsion as a way to dodge shells at long range, but it's also a way to kind of knife fight other battleships closer and stuff like that comes in handy. Your ship captain. I note that you've got a 6-point captain, and you have used Grease the Gears. Note that this option here, main battery mod 2, is Grease the Gears. You pay credits for it, but it frees up your 2nd-point commander skill to do anything else in this row, which could be very helpful for you, right? Vigilance gives you the ability to take less damage on torpedoes on your torpedo belt, which is actually a
but they're
decent...
still pretty slow.
The turrets are still pretty slow, absolutely, yes. So if you even hate it more, well, cool. Pick this up and get double effect. Okay, it's not great, it's okay. But the thing with battleships that players need to learn at the mid-tiers is you point your turret in one direction, and you do your best to keep your turrets firing in that one direction for the remainder of the battle. So you're turning your hull in or out to maneuver your turrets, but you almost always keep them pointed one direction. If you flip your guns, you're wasting a lot of time. So this doesn't help you if you're used to always keeping your guns pointed in one direction. This only helps you if you're constantly changing. Now, yes, Yamamoto does give you a boost to grease the gears. The problem that I have with putting Yamato at tier 6 is you're putting Yamamoto at tier 6. And I know, Tannis, you had Yamato, so did you reset the line for a research bureau then?
I did not. It does not let me.
Okay, so that's right. So you're one of the people...
I haven't found the button.
You're one of the people that got Yamato for free automatically because of whatever. That's why you've got Yamato. Okay.
Yeah.
Because so the free Yamato came from, what is this?
It was like the Christmas boost or whatever event.
No, that was something else. There was another event that came before, because the battleship that was offered for tier 10...
Yeah, it was Bismarck or Yamato.
Yeah.
It was Schlieffen.
Yeah, but that was Voyage to the North Pole. Schlieffen was Voyage to the North Pole, which was this year's.
Yeah.
We're talking about last year, the previous.
Last year, I don't remember.
It was Bismarck or Yamato, as Tana said.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, let's just focus in on this here. We're getting on tangents a lot here. So, standard captain, you've gone with emergency repair specialist, grease the gears, and adrenaline rush. Personal opinion here. You can do emergency repair specialist. It's okay. There's really not a lot at one point that matters, except in my opinion for gunfeeder. For me, gunfeeder in Fuso is very handy, because if you want to shoot something with your rear turrets but you don't have the turrets unmasked yet, gunfeeder can help you change ammo type to the proper ammo type for when you do get your rear turrets in action. So I like gunfeeder actually at one point. I would take that probably over emergency repair. At the second point, I'd probably take priority target. You guys know how much of a priority target enjoyer I am. But if you don't want to take priority target, vigilance is helpful. And you're going to laugh, but brisk can actually be helpful too.
Oh, brisk on battleships? Absolutely. Brisk on battleships is absolutely maybe not for Fuso, because it's still spotted from the moon for some inexplicable reason. I don't know why they haven't buffed the concealment.
The main use case in my mind for Fuso is when you duck behind an island. As soon as you duck behind that island, you are no longer spotted in many cases, and boom, you get the brisk, and then you get the propulsion module that just gets you kicked up into high gear, and that really helps with dodging shells, the HE shells that will set you on fire, and of course torpedoes.
You're dodging. I'm trying to angle.
But for most people,
the throttle shooting in BBs is a bit of an art, but when you pull it off, it's spectacular.
Which is why I said for advanced players,
I have not found the S key. I have removed the S key from my keyboard.
Yes, you have, which is a problem.
So you're one of those battleship players.
Yes, take a straight line and then just kind of try to not be full broadside to anything.
Correct.
I see how it is.
That's why priority target is helpful, because it tells you how many people are shooting or aiming at you, and it gives you an idea. Maybe it's time to disengage and turn and run, or whatever. Adrenaline Rush at 3 points is fine. You could do Adrenaline. You could also do Basics, so you can burn Flood less. That also comes into play with this module here. So if you were to do that here, for example, instead of Adrenaline Rush, then you'd probably want to pick up Propulsion. Okay? But whatever. Anyway. Either way, regardless, your 4th point is probably going to be Fire Prevention. You could go Concealment. 18.3 kilometer versus 16.5. Come on, who cares? Fire prevention is so important on battleships. Having one less fire that can burn you, and then also just the innate less risk of catching fire. If you're in a tier 8 game in your bottom tier, not so important. But if you're top tier or middle tier, it does come in handy. So I would go Fire Prevention Expert for your 4th point. And then no flags because you're conserving credits. Okay. Let's get to the game.
As Cthulhu says, he's right. S-key haters are very much welcome in COG or in...
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are hated in operations. You need to learn the S-key in
No.
operations. So, Tannis has a bit of a habit, and I was fixing to say that, but it came out already. Tannis hits the W key 4 times, and then he just turns into a missile. And that missile either destroys a lot of things or gets destroyed itself. There is no in
And
between.
this time I just so happen to be lucky.
So, looking at the minimap, dude, I would absolutely not just W 4 times and go to A, but it looks to me like that's kind of what you're doing. Also, I'm seeing some lag here on your end, so we do know that you're playing, I think, what is it, on Wi-Fi, so you do have that problem too.
Oh my god, why does the Wi-Fi do that?
Packet loss, my friend. So,
Welcome to good old-fashioned packet loss, baby.
if you want better Wi-Fi, you get your router and you get your computer away from as much metal as possible, especially appliances like kitchen appliances. So if you mentally imagine a straight line distance between your PC, laptop, whatever, your device, and your router, if there's any metal in between, you got to move one or both of those things if you can help it. Or like I told you before, power line adapters. Now, dude, Tannis, your guns are pointed to the right. I will say this. If you see an enemy over here, that's going to encourage you to turn like this. And the problem with that is then you duck behind these islands and you kind of get stuck. So I would start actually with your guns pointed left at the start of this battle. Left.
Kind of. What
Because-
I would probably do, though, like, if I'm in this particular situation, just for a moment, what I'm thinking is that you have the health and you have the ability to tank fire, right? You could kind of sit there, but maybe not not go behind the islands, but slow down and stop just like halfway to the island, right? Stay at an angle. And by doing that, you now have the ability to kind of sit at an angle, maintain good positioning, generate a crossfire with your Bagioni, right? Now they have to angle either to your cruiser or they have to angle against you, right? That's kind of my thinking of that sort of situation there.
Now, the reason why I'm suggesting the other way is because right now, so you're incentivized to turn left, as you can see here, okay? If you turned right, then you've got beautiful flanking shots at everything else. If you turn to the right, and yes, I understand playing with islands and everything, but he's the damage dealer. He's the one that's got to be, like, wrecking stuff. So I don't know that I like the idea of ducking in behind the island and playing the island game. Now look, right here. Now you've decided you want to take the enemy on the other side. Now these rear turrets have to waste all this time to turn around. Imagine if you had just started with your turrets to the left.
Yeah.
It's taken me a lot of games to break myself of this habit that you are using right now, because I used to use it all the time as a low-tier Battleship player. You start off by thinking, I'm going to duck behind an island, and in reality, that island just kills your ability to shoot stuff.
I wasn't thinking of it so much as ducking behind the island. I was thinking it more of swing out to the left.
Also, you end up in the same spaces.
Put yourself on an island there. The other thing, too, is that you're still on the HG. I would have swapped to AP, like, a long time ago.
You fire the first salvo with HE, and then it depends on what the enemy does. If you start a fire and they DCP, keep HE. If they don't, switch to AP.
Or just let your Bugioni set it on fire.
I was just using HE mostly because I got tired of all the ricochets.
Yeah, but look, you've got a broadside Wang Hei right here. Oh god, this is like food.
Food.
But again, because your rear turrets were turned the other way, they're still not able to fight. And this is too late. He'll duck behind the island. He does have torpedoes, so you have to watch out for his torpedoes. And now's where AP comes in very handy with the broadside Arizona. So I want to draw on the mini map kind of my thinking here. You have your guns pointed left so that when you make contact with the enemy, you instinctively turn left, and that puts you in a kite away position where you can kite away and continue to shoot into everything else.
Oh, this is a bad overextension. Oh no.
Okay, good. Now you've recognized the importance of changing. Now, your aim was a little off. You should be aiming to the middle of the ship, because in theory, you want to try to set 2 fires on him if you can.
Oh, right, because is the superstructure like a different fire area?
So the superstructure can be set on 1 fire or 2, depending on if the person is on fire prevention. Now, you can see that there's only 1 fire right here. It's not in the middle of the ship. Because it's not in the middle of the ship, he does not have fire prevention. Also, look, you're overturning, and now your rear turrets are spending all their time trying to turn again. If you kept the right side here, you'd have a dead Arizona right now. But because you're turning, you have to wait for your front guns to fully reload, or your teammate New York to kill the Arizona.
Yeah. And now you're also broadside to the New Mexico because you've overturned as well, right? Which is an even more awkward situation if you think about it, because now what?
Right.
Fuso's armor is good, but if you're presenting a flat side like this to a New Mexico, pray to God
now I ignore that the New Mexico's there.
I would too. You got AP in the barrels.
Cruisers.
Kill the Wang Hei.
Or pretend. Oh, he's shooting HE. Okay, never mind.
No, he's shooting
okay
AP.
for now. Now is he shooting AP? It looks like HE tracers to me.
How else is he going to get a death strike on a Wang Hei that's full health?
Oh my God! No, I was talking New Mexico, but I was talking about the New Mexico shooting HE. I thought I know Tana switched to AP already, but ouch.
Heal.
Brother
Heal.
Bill.
Heal. Heal.
Yeah, got it.
Heal. There you go.
Heal. There you go.
I'm just trying to point out how long it took for you to recognize the ability to heal. And
I'm playing unmodded right now, as part of it.
Well, okay. But even then, nice hit. Even then, if you are looking at your hit point pool and you're like, oh, I've lost a lot of hit points and I'm about to lose more, get the heal going. Even if it's not like full
good hit
heal.
on New Mexico, though.
It is.
Very good hit on the MX.
And fortunately for you, the New Mexico beached.
Oh, this guy. Now the problem is, now here, when you're shooting New Mexico with AP, don't shoot at him directly, shoot at his superstructure. There you go, exactly. When you aim at the superstructure, there's a chance to full pen it.
I love how your entire team came over here, by the way. Just look at how many people are here. It's like the party at A.
This is what we call lemming train, by the way, because here we see 6 people afraid of 1 New Mexico, and
Scope in.
Yeah,
Scope in. Scope in. What are you doing? Are you drinking a coffee or something? The gun's already done. The gun's already done. And you lost the kill because you were hesitating. The last gun doesn't matter, dude. If you've got 5 guns on target, all 5 guns shoot at the target. And then when that last one reloads, then you fire it because maybe that's what kills him if the other ones didn't. That should have been your kill.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That was when my mouse died.
Another problem.
Well, that I can forgive. That's understandable. Understandable. Have a great day.
Who plays a wireless mouse in 2025? I'm kidding. I do.
Oh, I know, right? I have a Razer Viper Mini with a wire, and I had gone back to a wireless mouse in about 3 years now.
Yep, that's true, Dutch. So now here's the problem. You've won that flank. What do you do now? And by the way, heal again, damn it. Do you go for the carrier, or do you turn back?
Honestly, I would personally save the heal here, Zeth, because if he has one less heal when he absolutely needs it, that can get awkward, right? Like, I've had situations like that come up where I've needed a heal and I haven't had a heal, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, but he's got one heal left after this one, so I would just use the heal and then wait until, wait for the last one. I want to point out right now, this is your use case for your spotter plane. You've got a Vesser that's broadside to you behind an island. This is absolutely when you want that plane up so you can see over the island and make sure that your shells will hit the target. Because based off that indicator, you just shot the island. Usually use a wireless mouse when you're on your laptop. Yeah, me too. And you got one overpen. You shot the island. Now, the problem with that is any carrier player that's worth their salt is going to immediately panic and hit W key 4 times, and guess what? You no longer have a shot. So you have to expect that this guy's going to move forward, which means you need to be heading him off, essentially. I would be flipping my guns to the right at this point, Tanis, and making my course like this. Or keep your guns to the left and make your course like this. Either way, I'd move my course like this. Forget about the carrier. Another example where a plane would be helpful because you could see the carrier better.
Yeah, at some point, I just start exploiting the absurd range and cross-mapping.
Yeah. I would have definitely used the spotter plane at that point, just because the fact that now you'd have a better guess of, hey, what the heck is this carrier trying to do, right?
Here's the thing.
But if you use the spotter plane, line it up better. What an bend up strike.
If you keep sailing southward, you're going away from the battle. Once the Vesser's dead, you've got no input in the battle. So I would be turning like this so that you can at least, you're angling this way towards your target. So you're continuing to get closer so that after this guy's done, you have the flexibility to go into the B cap quicker. Also, you are waiting until all guns are fully loaded, and then you're saying, okay, now let's get set up, and now let's shoot. You shouldn't be like that. Right now, for example, what you should be doing is you should be completely scoped in and clicking that mouse button or holding left mouse button down either way so that as soon as your guns are loaded, they are firing. You just lost a shot on the Vesser because of that right there. And at this point, where are you going?
I don't even know at this point.
At this point, you're hitting M and you're setting autopilot. Maybe? No. Okay. You slowed down to turn? Don't do that. Slowing down to turn is great if you need to make a tighter turn to, like, dodge something.
You don't need to make a tight turn right now, no.
But in open water, slowing down doesn't help you. Omaha. I would look at the Omaha. Coming into range.
Yeah, I'm just like, ooh, yum, Exeter.
Well, okay. You could have been shooting at him for a while ago if you had your plane up.
Yeah.
You could have shot him about 10 seconds earlier if you were already scoped in and looking at him and just waiting until you locked on. Like, stuff like, little things like that. Surely autopilot teaches us the correct way to sail a ship. Slow down and then turn, right? Seriously. Hate that autopilot.
It's a bit silly, yeah. But I want to point something out, though. Look how far back you are from your team, right?
And you're losing because of it.
Look how far away you are from the engagements. Like, here's the thing. You are, in this match, a top-tier battleship.
Forget the Omaha.
Yes, there are two Julius Caesares in the game, and yes, it's going to be annoying to trade against them because it's a Julius Caesare, because that's just how it works. But you need to be in a better position to say, like, okay, these guys want to play rough with me? Sure, well, let's play rough. Say hello to my little friend, right? You need to be up close and personal. You need to be willing to take those fights.
Agreed. Also, are you planning on shooting the Omaha anytime soon? If so, you should have been scoped in. Again, scope in and prepare for it. Looked like you were answering a text message. Julio should be your threat right now. Forget the Omaha. He doesn't matter. You can just sneeze on him. Okay, but
it's an Omaha. It explodes.
That's the Dallas's problem. The Julio in the middle of the map that's killing your team in my opinion, is the bigger issue. And oh, by the way, he's broadside to you, so you can really hurt him. Never chase a carrier, by the way. Carrier now killed the Dallas and killed the Pensacola.
Yeah.
Decision making is important here. Think about it like this.
Basically, I just chased the carrier really far out and then didn't do anything.
Yep.
If you were on the G line, think about how much damage you could have done.
So this is the problem that a lot of newer players make when they play the Japanese battleships, especially because you say, "Oh, look at all this range I have. I don't need to be close to the enemy to do anything. I can hit them from afar." Okay, but while you're hitting them from afar, your team that's gone up close and personal is all dying. Like, you're trying to kill this Galicia. Okay.
Why are you that's like pot shots in a long range cruiser. Also, why are you turning away as well? Like, you need to be, I mean, you're not going dark, but at the very least, it's in Omaha. He's going to take 10 million years to kill you. Like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I just kind of killed that. I killed the Galicia right as he goes dark, and then I just kind of farted out trying to kill the Omaha, and that's the game. I just break 100k, which is why I sent it. That
I mean,
okay.
Okay.
And then like
This
the
reminds
next
me-
Fuso game I got a crack in like 150k damage.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so that's fine. This is fine though, Ashley, Zach, because this reminds me a lot of how I was when I was starting out. Right?
So everybody was when
You
they
remember-
started out, dude.
Yeah,
Is that how it
exactly.
is?
This is fine. Yeah, it's a learning curve. World of Warships is a massive learning curve. It's got a much steeper curve than World of Tanks, right? Because tanks is like, you gotta learn how to angle your armor, you gotta learn where you can get spotted from, yada yada yada. The thing is, in tanks, there's only so much to learn. In warships, there's a lot more to learn. The learning curve for this game is incredibly steep and unforgiving under the worst of circumstances. So, the best thing you can do, obviously, is just keep doing it over and over and over again, and then slowly learn, right? Learn what works, what doesn't. If something doesn't work, try something else, right? And you keep doing it until until it clicks, right? Like, you can teach the basics and the fundamentals of, say, how to play like a destroyer or a cruiser or whatever, right? Or a battleship in this particular circumstance. But the truth of the matter is that, you know, it still takes a lot of practice and a lot of effort to, you know, learn those fundamentals over time. Because inevitably, you're going to be in one of those situations where having those fundamentals mastered isn't going to necessarily be enough to win the game.
Well,
Right.
yeah, so, but now take a look at what happened at the end of this battle. Because you didn't shoot the Julio earlier, and you weren't focusing on the team battle in BCAP, and instead looking at a cruiser and carrier that's running off to the side, that Julio is able to then turn accordingly to you, focus on you with his guns. He ultimately gets the kill on you. And you get yourself in a position where you get surrounded. Meanwhile, you're going in alt chat saying, "Hey guys, look, I had a 100k game." Okay, but at tier 6,
lost.
right? But you lost at tier 6 at top tier. I mean, the damage you've done doesn't really matter that much. What matters, of course, is getting the win. You had a dev strike on the Huang He, which was fantastic, by the way. I mean, that's a great kill. But ultimately, it's not enough. And you can see here, you came in first, so you probably looked at that and said, all right, well, I did good. Yes and no. You did good, but you could have done so much better. 2, maybe 3 times that your turrets, your poor rear turret gunners were like, here we go again. Here we go again. Like, constantly trying to go back and forth and change them. That hurt you.
Yep, I just keep flipping the thing over and over again.
And then constantly going all the way down to the point where you're at your max range. For Japanese battleships, especially the Fuso, I would recommend you look at your range circle and then divide it by 2. And you want to try to focus on targets that are closer to that halfway mark than the far distance. Because now you're projecting your power. Not only are you hitting your target better because you're closer to that target, I mean, that's for any ship, you're also in a position where you can shift guns and focus on something else that's more important. Early in this battle, you had some decent instincts, but mid to late game, you can see it just kind of fizzled as you kept sailing happily down the 2 line forever.
Yeah, it's just we.
I've had that multiple times. Believe me. I think this is fine. Genuinely, I think this is okay. I'm assuming that you are still relatively new to the game, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yes. Ish. Okay. So obviously you're going to have a lot to learn, but this is fine, right? The fact that you are hitting your targets, you know ammunition selection, you know some basic target prioritization, so on and so forth, tells me that you have the ability to learn the game really well, and you'll actually pull something out of it. Now the question is, how do you maximize it? Yeah. How do you make the most out of it when you do inevitably come to that situation where it's like, okay, what do I do here? Believe me, you'll find yourself in that kind of situation so many times, it's not even funny. And the reality of it is that, like, here, at this particular point, right, when you're focusing on what's in front of you, you could have shot the Arizona with shooting Arizona and everything. After that, I would have just turned sharply in towards B, and I would have waited for those two Julius Cesares to push in and feed themselves to you, right?
Well, yeah, and
I would have killed everything a lot faster.
Like I said, you had that decision point. You chose to chase the carrier when your better choice would have been to go mid, and that's all there is to it at that stage in the game. But even then, it's a little bit difficult because their carrier player obviously was competent enough to understand how to play. Your carrier player, how did he do? He did okay for himself as well on the scoreboard, but you know, Julio is Julio. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen you be more present in this battle, and especially with you being top tier, utilizing opportunities to angle properly, and just again keeping your guns. I think one of the things you do when you're making your decision making, Tanis, is you say, okay, I want to do this now. How do I make sure my guns are to bear? Like, you know, what am I gonna do to get into this position? So like all this time right here, when you're continuing to move farther southward, if instead of saying I want to shoot this this carrier, if you also said to yourself, okay, how do I keep all my guns to bear, and you turned left to approach, to close with that, then it makes you easier to, like right now, shoot up into B cap. Also, I get the idea of shooting a low health near dead cruiser, but Julio is far more important.
Yeah. If you want to put this one to YouTube, Seth, I would probably title this one Learning Curve, because that's what we're witnessing here, is a learning curve. This is not an indictment on you at all, Seth, by the way.
I was gonna title it "Sail Away" because literally that's what he was doing, was sailing away. like the song.
But there's learning to be had here, and believe me, believe me, we were all like this at some point. It took me years to break out the kind of habits that I saw here, right? Because I was stubborn when I was learning the game. I was very, very stubborn, and believe me when I say that, I wanted to just play the game my own way. But eventually, I had to force myself to learn and realize that, hey, if I want to play the game my own way, I have to learn the basics of the game. Basic positioning, hitting your targets, yada yada yada. And the end result is I'm a much better player than I was, like, say, 4 or 5 years ago, right?
So, guys,
you get the idea.
Yeah, if you guys have any ideas for titles, feel free to share. But I think it was a good learning opportunity for Tanis. I'm glad that you were able to join us in the Discord to go over it too. Just keep plugging away and look at those opportunities to, maximize your shells.
What skill did you want to take me in the 2-point slot again?
Priority target.
Priority target. Well, priority target on a battleship is not as useful unless you are playing something aggressive, like, say, you're playing something German, or you're playing one of the American secondary battleships. I would say, in the 2 points, for 2-point skills, let me just take a look at my battleships.
There's not a lot of good
Let me take a look
choices,
at-
and to be quite honest, priority target is very like in this particular battle. Priority target would have told him if he can sit broadside to the New Mexico, for example, because the New Mexico looking at him, and then you know in the early engagement, how many targets are shooting at me? That tells me if I need to kite away immediately or I can kind of stay present in where I'm at. And at that point, there probably would have been 4 or 5 because there were 2 cruisers, a battleship, and something else. So, you know,
Wow.
like that's where priority target really gives you information. And I feel like that's information that you just can't get any other way in this game other than like literally spectating every other ship's turrets, but that ship has to be visible to do it.
Yeah.
That's right,
It's
Armor
very
Prayer.
useful
Mhm.
on cruisers. I'll say for sure, it's absolutely very useful on cruisers.
Oh,
'Cause,
absolutely.
In fact, I run it on almost all my cruisers, except for Minotaur, where I run IFA because I am a filthy radar Minotaur player, and
Everybody is.
I prefer to. Oh, almost everybody is. Well, anybody who's got the balls of steel to play it. True, armored. Any squishy BBs priority target is very useful. So is IFA. But yeah, it's not so much. It's like setting up your ship is one thing. Having the right build is one thing, obviously. But the other thing is, of course, just playing the game.
Well,
What
it's
I
also
can
how
draw
you
out of
use the
this-
skills.
Oh, definitely, yeah. What I can draw out of this game with absolute certainty is that you understand the basics, which is something I can say a lot more. Which is something I can say is a lot better than most new players to this game. Because most new players that I find and meet do not have the ability to actually play in that way, right? They don't understand the basics.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good replay. It's a good learning opportunity. So I did title it Learning Curve. So, Dennis, thanks for supporting the channel, using your Cover My Replay. I'll refund your other points on the rerun channel so you can use it again for next time. Okay.
All right.